Hey guys, my name is Batumio, and today we have learned about a cool new feature being added into Battlefield 4, which I know a lot of console players are going to be thrilled to hear about. So, when Battlefield 4 launched, it never had a squad join feature for consoles. Like, if you wanted to play with friends, you basically had to join the server and then switch to the other team, or I'm assuming that's basically what you had to do. And there wasn't any way that you could just squad up before you jumped into that match and be in the same team. And for being a first-person shooter multiplayer, you would assume that this would have come standard. Like, for a lot of first-person shooters, this is pretty much mandatory. Like, a lot of people want to play with friends. That makes sense. This is a multiplayer experience, and that's just supposed to be a part of it. But for Battlefield 4, that was never an option. I think it was something that you could do back in Battlefield 3, but they never transferred it on over. And so DICE has realized that this has been something that console players have been really wanting, and they're now just implementing a squad join beta feature. And so the way it's going to work is that before you jump into a server and before you start playing, you'll have the option to create a squad, essentially. You'll be able to have 5 of your friends in that squad. I don't think you can have any more than that. And then the squad leader, all they have to do is click the quick match join button, and then everyone will be placed on the same team. You'll be in the same squad. I think it locks it as well so that you can have other friends, if they want to join on in and they're late to the party, they can also just quickly jump into your server and jump into your squad. And this sounds like a step in the right direction. The only problem I have with it, though, is I've never been a fan of the quick match button. Like, every single time I click that button, it always puts me into an empty server, or it puts me in a server where there's only like 5 people on each team, and it's like, okay, I'm glad it just found an empty server for me, but I'm looking for the Battlefield experience. I want to play on a 64-man conquest with plenty of people on here, and while sure, I guess this could be one way of populating some of these servers, I just don't necessarily want to be the grassroots player to get that server kickstarting. Like, I want to play the game. I don't want to sit around for a good 20 minutes while it fills up. And so, while this does seem like it is a step in the right direction, and I'm finally glad that DICE is doing something about this, I think it needs to be flushed out, and DICE is saying that they are going to be flushing this out a little bit more. It is the beta, or it's called Squad Join Beta, for a reason. They plan in the next couple of months to add upon it and make it a little bit better, but as of right now, I just don't know how useful this is going to be right now. In my opinion, the best way that I would like to see the feature is to have it so that I could squad up with some buddies before we join a round, find a server that's relatively full, and then jump on into it. The problem with that, though, and I'm assuming this is a reason why DICE has gone down the quick match route, is that if you join with 5 people on one server and you want to make it so that everyone is on the same squad and on the same team, you run into the problem where all of a sudden one team has 5 more people than the other. And if you're playing on a smaller server where, let's say, the cap is at 32, or you're playing like Domination or a smaller version of Conquest or Rush, all of a sudden 5 extra people, especially if you're playing on Rush, that is going to be the difference between your team winning and losing. And so while I do get why DICE is going down the way that they're going, because they want to make sure that servers aren't in balance and there isn't this large discrepancy between players, at the same time, I think that if they were able to nail down and get the kinks worked out where you could join 5 people on one team, but at the same time somehow making it so that the server and the teams aren't in balance, I don't know exactly sure how they could go about it, but you know, that is what they're being paid for. That would be the best way to handle it. You could join a server that's fully populated, you get the full Battlefield experience, but at the same time you can join with friends. And this is actually one thing that I have a huge problem with on PC, is that trying to just play with one of your buddies, just one player, can be almost impossible on some of these servers. On PC, there are a lot of admins that have plugins on them, and so if you try to switch on over to another team, it could be that rank 100 players don't have the option to switch on over to keep the teams balanced. Maybe they'll make it so that if one team is winning over the other, you can't switch on over to the dominant team. There's like all these different plugins that these server admins can have, and it's just like, I understand you want to have these servers well balanced, but at the same instance, I want to play with my friends. Like, that's the reason why I'm joining. That's the reason why I'm playing right now. And to jump onto one of these servers and not have the option to play with your buddies is a little discouraging, and that happens way too frequently. And so, once again, if DICE was able just to create some sort of system that would allow you to join one of these relatively full servers with just a couple of friends, but at the same time making it sure that the team balances are solid, but making it so that you don't get constantly switched around and you can stay in the same squad, that would be a godsend and a huge step in the right direction. The one thing about this, though, the one caveat is that this feature, at least as of right now, is not available to PC users, and I don't think they have any intention of actually transferring this on over to the PC crowd. They said that this was only something that console users wanted, and because of that, they devoted all of their time, or at least the team devoted to this, devoted all of their time to creating it only and specifically for consoles. They said that back in Battlefield 3, the PC crowd never took advantage of this feature. They said that when they asked the PC community if this was something that they wanted, it never came up, and so they just devoted all of their time to the console version. And while I 100% understand why DICE did this, like, it does make sense to develop and put all your time into a system that you know people are going to take advantage of it, it's still a little ironic that they have now showed favoritism towards a certain system. I remember that back in Battlefield 3, or at least I remember, maybe I'm just completely delusional, I remember DICE saying that they didn't create a beta server or they didn't push out patches faster for PC because they didn't want to show favoritism to the PC crowd, and they wanted to make it so that everyone had the same experience on every single one of the systems. And while, once again, I understand this viewpoint because they want to treat all their customers fairly and equally, it's a little ironic that they are now showing a little favoritism. And so what I would actually like to see is for them to kind of continue on with this favoritism and maybe give us PC users some beta servers where we can actually test out future patches. You guys know that patches for Battlefield 4 have been always a little clunky. They've always come out, they've always introduced new bugs, it's always been a little rocky from the start. But how cool would it be if DICE showed a little favoritism towards PC and actually allowed us to play the most updated version of Battlefield 4? We can actually test out some of these new patch notes and let everyone else know what's wrong, what needs to be fixed before it's actually launched to all of the console users. These would be strictly beta servers. Maybe there would only be a couple of them, but I think that this would be just simply amazing. Like, I would love if DICE showed a little favoritism towards the PC community and didn't treat this as if PC was actually getting a head start over consoles, but simply paving the way for all of the other systems to make sure that they're not buggy and they're not just a pile of crap when they launch. Like, that, for me, would be simply fantastic. And so overall, I know I've deviated way away from the original topic, which is the join beta feature, but this is a cool step in the right direction. I am finally glad that DICE is addressing this for console users. I know this has been something that they've wanted for a very, very long time, and I'm glad that they have finally done something. But that is about it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about everything that I discussed in today's video. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.